Well, Tom Sawyer retired here, and we talk in these little conversations about confusion. And we try to keep the subject pretty much on the subject of Samuel Clemens and his doings, now that we know more about his doings since his autobiography has been published. And there are confusing times we have when there are people in our house and it's time to go home. Everybody should know it's time to go home, and yet they linger and linger. Samuel Clemens tells a story of how he handled that once. He tells, first of all, about his habit of smoking cigars. He confesses he never bought a cigar for more than 6 cents, usually more like 4 cents. And some of his very well-off friends would offer him a cigar when he was in their home, and it would be maybe a $1.60 cigar. Now, that's more like $50 cigars today. And so he would collect them, and when he had gatherings in his house, he would have good cigars to offer. Well, one night they were expecting the essay club to get together, a dozen, 15 people who would bring their essays along and share them with each other, kind of like a book club these days. And Samuel Clemens' servant came to him and said, we're in trouble because we got none of those good cigars left. All we got now is the long nines. So he says, well, bring them down. So the time came when it was time for people to go home, and the servant went around the room offering everybody a cigar. One after another, he gave lame excuses for leaving the room. And the next morning, the servant handed Samuel Clemens a cup of coffee and said, I'd like to ask, how far is it, do you think, from the front door of the house over to the gate? And Samuel Clemens said, well, about 125 paces. And the servant said, well, walking along from the front of the house to the gate, you can't take a step without landing on one of those 9 inchers, long nines cigars. They made excuses to get out of the house so fast when they took a puff on those cigars. Now, today we don't much see any cigar smoking, but back in the day, that was the way he wrapped up the confusion of how to get rid of people when it was time to go to bed. And, you don't have to live in confusion when you're dealing with people. Today, you don't have to live in that kind of confusion. When it comes time to go to bed and you've got guests in your house, stand up and say, well, I know it's time for me to go to bed. How about you? And till next time, I want to remind you that this is Tom Sawyer retired, and I'd sure appreciate it if you give me a like and subscribe to the channel. That'd be a nice thing to do. See you next time.